Hey everybody, welcome back to Nuts and Bolts Garage. Today I'm going to be working on a Cub Cadet tractor riding mower that I recently acquired. It's a 1995 hydrostatic drive. It's in good shape as far as I'm concerned for the year, and I think it's doable. I purchased the tractor with an electrical problem, and I'm confident that I can fix it and get it going and make good use of this thing again. So I want to share it with you guys and show you what I've got here. Here she is, Cub Cadet riding mower. You can see that the headlights are missing. The side cover on this side I don't have. The side cover for the other side I do have it. Overall, this thing is in good shape. It's just got an electrical problem. The previous owner said he was using it, and he had shut it off actually. He had a little nature call he had to go on, and when he came back outside to fire it back up, it was completely dead. So I'm thinking right away when he told me that, providing he's being honest, that it had a charging problem. You can see in here the wires are not in the greatest of shape. Positive here. PTO plug is unplugged, but it's all there. There's nothing really missing other than that panel on that side. The panel for this side, like I said, I do have. Here's some more wires, the positives. You know, they need to be cleaned up. They need to be checked for continuity, make sure that they're still good. The fuel lines are hard as a rock. So if we do get it running, we'll probably replace that. It's not locked up. It is definitely not locked up. You can see that it's in pretty good shape overall. The seat is in beautiful shape. It's not the original seat. It's a Troy-built seat, but can't complain about that. That's in good shape. You can see it's got a lot of sun fade to it. The tires are dry rotted a little bit, but you know, they're holding air, and that's good enough for me right now. For what I paid for this thing, I paid that much for the battery for this machine. So I figured, why not take a chance with it, right? So I noticed a few things. You know, it's got a dent in the hood. We don't really care about that. It could use a front end alignment. This tire's straight. This one here is pointing out to the left a little bit. Not a big deal. We could definitely fix that. Over here you could see they had welded that. Must have hit something with the deck roller, and they busted that or broke it off, and they welded it back on. They did a good job. It's nice and straight, so there's no complaints there. When they put the deck back on, they didn't put the jaw. You know, you can see the jaw here. There's a little jaw there, and this is supposed to be in the jaw. And it's not that the deck even really goes back and forth. They just didn't put it back on right. So we can fix that. But you could see right from here that there's a wire that is going nowhere. These two wires, well, I don't know what they're for either. So there you go with that. This wire harness needs to be exposed better. I did wash the heck out of this thing when I first got it home because it was all crudded up. But I want to, you know, take this all this off so I can inspect these wires better and check for continuity, make sure we're good to go with that. I did notice with the drive unit here when I first got it home, this was all, you know, greasy and covered with dirt and crud. I cleaned it up, but I did notice right away that this dipstick is loose, you know, and she ain't got nothing in there, at least right now. So I don't know, drive unit could be kaplooey, but you know, it definitely leaked out of there because it's loose. This was all clean on the top, and just the back of it behind the plate, which I had off, was all full of crud. So I don't know, we might have a surprise or something upsetting with that, but again, for what I paid for this thing, I'm really not going to worry about that too much. The goal here is to get her running, right? So that's what we're going to try to do. This there's a push button here that I believe was probably added because the start mode on the key switch has probably failed. So it probably, I don't know, maybe you turn it on and then hit the button. Who knows? We'll have to figure all that out. You could see, you know, she's almost 30 years old. She's sitting outside for a while. Sun faded. It's definitely a little chalky, but who cares, you know? That's really not a big deal. Fuel tank, I don't know. You know, for the 2 years or so that it sat outside, right? Oh, so that fuel, let me get a whiff of that. Yeah, it looks good, but it doesn't smell too good. So we're probably going to have to drain the tank, obviously, and put some fresh gas in it. And, right, the fuel lines and the fuel filter. Fuel lines are hard as a rock, so they ain't going to be worth too much. Fuel filter, we're definitely going to have to change that. It's not locked up. I was able to turn her over a little bit with my hand, so that was good news. The oil, I don't know. The oil's clean. I mean, it's probably not good. Shelf life is, on conventional oil, I think is like 6 months or a year, something like that. But at any rate, there you have it. So the first thing I'm going to do is get that wire harness exposed so we can scrub up and clean up and, you know, so we can see what we got. We got to check those wires to make sure that, you know, they're good. We got to check for continuity. You know, once they dry out and vibration, it could be cracked along the way. And, you know, so it's not transferring juicilization, which, you know, without power, you ain't going nowhere. So that's going to be the first order of business. And without further ado, we got to get started on this. Wires in sight here. Got my binoculars on. And we're going to do some snippy.
Whoa, almost got my head chopped off.
Definitely got to clean that up. I'm a little fussy. And if I'm going to get it run, I know I'm going to get it running. I got to get it running. Why would I not get it running? Right? How could this thing not run? I really don't think the guy was telling me a story just to make a quick $120 and get this thing out of his yard. I really don't believe that. So, okay. I put a little bungee cord on the hood so I don't get hurt. Let's just continue to expose the entire harness. We'll hang on to this stuff because it's fine. It's not even like, it just needs to be washed. It's cleaned up. Get my tools out of the picture here. And got some cleaner. We'll saturate stuff with. Get it all nice and nice, like a pizza pie. Oh, that made me hungry just saying that. Let it soak on there good. I'm using, this says ZEP 505, but it's actually a ZEP Industrial Purple degreaser that I have in here. I got that from Home Depot. Stuff works good. This Fast 505 is good stuff though, you know. Detailing a car, this is strong enough to take the brake dust off your wheels, but will not fade your fabric and your interiors. It won't bleach out your fabric. This is safe to use on cloth, rugs, whatever. Good stuff, really good stuff. This is cool. I really like this thing. I mean, I paid $120 for this tractor. I know people don't usually disclose like what they spent, but I'm not shy to say, and I don't feel bad or embarrassed that I got this machine for $120. Like I said, I just paid $134 for the battery, and let me tell you, I really did some shopping around, and the battery that it actually calls for, not that I didn't get the right group, but the battery that it calls for, that Cub Cadet told me to get, was $199, and I was like, no way. There's no way I'm spending $200 on a battery. I know I could find one cheaper, and I kept searching and searching and searching. And then there were some batteries that were cheaper, but they weren't giving me the dimensions. And I wrote to people, and they didn't answer back. Some of them did, some of them didn't, but, you know, I was just in search of. And, yeah, like late last night, out of the blue, I'm looking, and I was like almost ready to give up. I was so frustrated. And Advanced Auto Parts had the battery, specific dimensions, the right group, 260 cranking amps. I was like, bingo! It was really nice. So naturally this morning, I went and ran and got that. I got the front of the engine nice and clean. So at least when we fire it up, and if it does start leaking or what or whatever, you can see where it's coming from. It's just easier. And there you have it. She is definitely looking pretty good. Okay, so we got the Cub Cadet back in the garage, and there's some things I definitely need to do before I think about starting this machine. I'm concerned about the fuel in the tank, so I want to drain the fuel out of the tank. I want to replace the fuel lines and the fuel filter. So to make that a little easier, I want to remove the deck. The deck is removed rather easily, actually. There's these pins, okay, right there. You just pull these out and on both sides, and the deck will drop. And then, of course, this fella here, right, providing that was installed correctly, you would unbolt these bolts here. They look like 19 millimeter bolts right there. So you would unbolt those and remove this first, then pull those pins. And of course, at that point, there would be enough slack to just pop the belt off, because the belt, you know, comes around to the front of the engine, which you see right here, you know, and which is no big deal. So we've got to start with that. The other thing that I noticed is the key switch. The key switch is just cannibalized. It's cooked. It's totally fried. Can't really see it yet because I didn't pull it out, and I don't have a lot of good light right now, but the key switch is an issue. See if I can get a good shot of that real quick. So yeah, the back of the key switch is all rusty and the plug is melted. There was definitely a problem with the key switch failing or shorting out, and it cooked the connector. So fuel lines got to come off, drain the gas tank, replace the key switch, and then start troubleshooting the electrical more efficiently and running through the whole system. And of course, you know, naturally getting rid of the push button. And so we're going to have to fix some wires here, you know, and do some rerouting. But we're going to start with removing the deck. All right, so I got this thing jacked up. I got the deck out from under it, and I got it jacked up. And, man, the tie rod end just broke on the right side. Passenger side, we'll call it. It just flopped off of there. And so, you know, the whole goal was to drain the tank, replace the fuel lines, put a new fuel filter on, and I've got to fix this first before I do anything. So I had to run out and go get a tie rod end, and I'm going to work on that and get that done. So I had mentioned earlier in the video that I had to do a front end alignment, so naturally now that's all part of fixing this and getting this going. So that's what we got to start with here. And that's where we're at. So we're going to get to it. This is the rod end for this machine. It's 3/8 24 thread. That's it right there. So I'm just going to slap this baby on. And I think I've got what I need here as far as tools go. See if we can get going here. I don't have enough room to spin anything on there. You know, fortunately enough, the other one just broke off, so I didn't have to take anything apart. That should work. Some of the stuff is metric, and some of it's standard. Not everything is metric on this machine. Well, that came right off. All right. You know, it probably wouldn't hurt to just put a dab of Never Sees on that. So Never Sees here in the picture. Never Sees. There you go. Permatex Anti-Seize Lubricant. All right. Right. And on there. Oh, this is not going to go on so easily, right? I got like no room to spin this on. Hopefully this will go okay. At least get it on there enough. See, as I'm putting it on, getting real close to the I-beam. I might just make it. That looks pretty close. All right, let's see what we got. There's a little bit of play in this puppy, so I got to just kind of catch it in the middle, if you want to call it that. Let's see how it goes. This is a lock nut that I'll be installing on here. Not a nylock, but an actual lock nut. So I'm going to put some Never Sees on that. Anybody not familiar with the difference, right? So the lock nut is actually like squoze together a little bit. You know, it's like squeezed, like eh. A nylock has just like a nylon insert. So that's the difference between the two. Right? And I'm thinking it's a 1/2 inch. No, it's not. It's a 14 millimeter. The other side of it, the jam nut, well, it's close enough for right now. Get this on here and move forward. Let's see, I don't want to tighten it all the way yet. Just kind of get an idea where we're at with the front end. Trying to get the wheel centered. Okay. So, yeah, it's really tight in the garage here. Got a lot of stuff in here. I'm just trying to move around without blocking the camera. It's not a big deal. I just want you to be able to see what I was doing. So we're going to come out with this, I think, 1 turn for now. And see where that brings us. Okay. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Like, I just jacked this thing up and the weight came off the wheels. And I mean, I think it broke when I pushed it in the garage, and it was just hanging on by a prayer, literally. And so when I jacked it up, it just boop, fell apart. So, I mean, you know, I obviously, it's an old machine, and we're going to have to go through all the functions of it and make sure she's safe to operate. So I did check the tie rod bars where they go underneath the machine, and those are fine. But the two front ones, we're going to go ahead and replace them, you know, just to keep it real here. That doesn't look too bad. You know, unfortunately, with something like this, you can't really nail it until everything's tight. So, and then working with a lock nut, so it's a little bit of a pain in the butt, but you know, what are you going to do? Such is life. You got to just keep at it. So, this wheel is basically straight. It actually looks pretty good. The wheel is straight. Like I said, she's got a little play in it, so it's a little hard to dead ringer it. That's pretty straight. The wheel. Wow. All right. So from what I could see, that's pretty good. I think we're going to just run with that. And what we're going to do is we're going to jump over to the other side. Get the camera focused related on that one. So this is the driver's side, we'll call it. And we're going to replace that. I did shoot some WD-40 on that, and I did just loosen the nut to make sure it wasn't going to be a catastrophe. So you could see that where I've got that already loose. So that's cool. The rest of this stuff I had shot a little bit of WD on it. So it should hopefully just come right apart. Okay. Well, that lock nut's doing its job. It's not turning that easy. And it's definitely not coming loose, even with never sees on it. So let's see what we got here. Alright. Steering wheel is pretty much centered. Yep. 5 7/8. What do I got over here? 5 1/2. And wait, wires are in the way. So I'm on this side. 5 1/2. Okay, we're good. We're going to run with that. Leave it just the way it is. We'll wait till we drive it before we determine if we want to mess around with it some more. But from what I can see, not too bad. Actually seems pretty good. So, all right, so we're going to get started with this. I got some tools ready to go here. It's a little odd size, but these are 11 millimeter. These bolts on the bottom. Well, man, there you have it. The bolt that was on the inner side of the drive shaft tunnel, that one, you know, it was tough, but it wasn't too bad. The driver side of the tunnel, that one was the toughest to reach. And man, it was a quarter turn at a time. And sure enough, It finally broke. Thank God. We are definitely not going to be using any kind of bolts like this again. Something, just no lock nut and a little dab of Loctite is going to work for me. So I think we're ready to try to pull this off. We got to take the fuel cap off. Right, and I imagine this might be a little heavy. I don't know, but no, not really. Okay, I got the wire for the seat sensor. Okay, that should just pull right through. And I'll lift this off. Alright. Oh, yeah. And, whew! And she's all loaded up with crapola. So there you have it. Wow. What a job to get to this thing. Just because the bolts were so old and rusted. The threads were rusted. So let's take a better look at what we got here now. Right? Tank is all full of crapola. And so there's the line. I was trying to explain to you guys there was no way I was going to get that line off. So yeah, and boy does she need to be replaced. That doesn't feel good. And oh man, mission accomplished. At least I could clean all this stuff up, and even the fan, cooling fan for the drive unit is all boogered up. So I'm gonna get this thing off the jack stands. Maybe I'm gonna pull the tank off, but I'm gonna get this thing off the jack stands and give her a good cleaning up once again, just because I like it clean, you know. God, if that's 30 years, why not, right? So anyway, that's it. We got the cover off. It might not even hurt. Well, it might. Let's not get too carried away here, right? Actually, it only looks like 4 bolts. Right? That there. That one there. And then the same thing on the other side. Maybe I'll take that off and just be able to clean the chassis really good. So, all right. So that's it for right now. Okay, we've got it all apart. So we can continue now with the original plan. So I'm going to get the gas tank off of this thing. All right, we're going to get the gas tank off, and we're going to wash her all up, get her all cleaned up so we can see what we're dealing with, and be able to go over all the stuff here to make sure everything's copacetic. If we've got to replace anything else, we'll be able to make a good evaluation. So let's get started. All right, so I got it all washed up, and we are ready to get the old fuel line off and get the new one on. So, get this broken away from the fuel filter, like so. Get that off of there, then it's on there, baby. She's like, no, I've been on here for 30 years. Leave me alone. Yeah, it's tough, right? I said, just cut it. Can I cut it? Nope. All right, we got it. All right, here it comes. Yeah. All right. All right. There it is. Eh, pretty long. I mean, you might do this differently than I would have, but it's the first thing that comes to mind, and that's the way I'm doing it. All right. And I got to make it like, I think it was 2 inches that when I cut it, when it was still on the machine, I left that piece on the tank. It was like 2 inches longer, so. Man, I don't want to mess this up. It's just some paperwork and the electrical schematic. So that's about 2 inches right there. And I'll go just like a little tickle longer. Oh man, getting murdered here. There's a lot going on here, so we're all doing things, and sometimes my wife grabs something that I need, and then sometimes I grab something she needs, but we're always working at it and working on stuff, so it's all good. So a little bit longer and it should be fine. And that's it. So that's a little cruddy. And I got to send that, the frame is a little cruddy. I washed it, but there's still some boogers on there. So I think I'm just going to get a small bolt to pop in the fuel line here. Like so. Just so I don't contaminate it. And back over to the machine. Boom. All right. Bolt end over to the fuel filter. So we're just going to sneak this back through. You know what? I'm just so fanatical with stuff. I can't help it. So I'm just going to wipe some of that stuff up. I like to keep, I know the machine's going to get dirty and all crudded up when we start working on it, or working with it. But I just like to clean it up as we go. There's some gas I spilled in here. Not the end of the world. But yeah, so that's copacetic. Run that bad boy right in there. Over here it's pretty cozy and comfortable. And over here it gets sandwiched in there. And there she is. Okay. So, it's a couple inches too long, but I'd rather be too long than too short, right? You could always trim a little off, but you can't really add any. So I did wash up the gas tank really good. I washed it inside and out. And I let it dry out. I had it upside down. And just to give you guys a shot of this, this thing is nice and clean. I mean, it was nice because it's plastic. So the inside is very clean. And of course, on the bottom where it was all cruddy and messed up. So now it's nice and clean. So we know that the fuel tank is not going to be an issue. Fuel tank and fuel lines are good to go. So that just sets on there. And then see if it gets you guys over here. Show you what we're doing. Right? And I need some clamperization. Right. So I got to get a clamp on there. And I've got some different clamps. So I think I'm going to go ahead with the traditional radiator style hose clamp back in the day. Right. Gonna use one of them bad boys like that. Actually, for this spot, because of where it is and I can't get to it, I think I'm going to use one of these instead. It's a little different, but I like it. So I'm going to go with this. Yep. And I can just a little splash of WD-40 just so I could slip it on there easier. Oh, running out. All right, there we go. Getting low on the WD-40. Okay. Man, like, is this really the right stuff? Quarter inch. Ain't got to worry about that falling off. And that is plastic, so do want to be careful with that. Okay. Got the fuel line from AutoZone. And that's going to do it right there. That's fine. So, yeah, you know, I need to definitely or kick it back a little bit just so that this linkage won't interfere with, cut, damage, or do anything with the fuel line. So I'm glad I cut it just a hair longer just to be a little extra safe with that. But that looks pretty good actually. If you can see what I'm doing. It's moving now because it's, you know, I got to get some clamp on there, but got to get it back like that. You can see that, right? Got to get it back like that. All right. So let's come over here and go like that. All right. So I got these zip ties that you know, they're hangers. You jam it in the hole and then you use it like a regular zip tie. And hopefully that'll be good to go. Oh, that's tough to get to. All this stuff's tough to get to. He's like midget hands, and I'm pretty small as it is. I don't exactly have big hands, but man, it's like all this stuff gets challenging for sure. All right, that's two of them. Need the old needle nose for that one. That's tight. It's right there by the little cylindry. Maybe like this. All right. It's looking pretty good so far. And I need one more for up by the motor here. Get under here. Oh, now the light's blinding me, so I'm in good shape. Can't even see. All right. All right. How do I have it? Like that. Little bugger. Get in there. Definitely tricky. There's like no room for nothing under here. I can just barely get it, but I'm getting it. All right. I don't think it's going to get better than that. So there it is. The line from the tank to the fuel filter is in. I got to get that air filter pan off because that's where the rest of the line is. Well, from the carburetor down. So let's get that. That looks like it's 8mm. I can't say for sure, but I'm going to take a guess. Looks like an 8. Alright, that's an 8. Yeah, alright, cool. So I got these 3 8mm bolts. Bad boys out. Got to be careful here. Don't want to go dropping nothing down the carburetor. Oh, man. Wouldn't that just be lovely? I'll tell you. So we got a lot going on here. Just to get straightened out. We still don't know if this thing runs, right? So we are, of course, hoping for the best, right? So, oh, wow, that's not good. That just pulled right off of there. If you could see, this is shaditzoed. And then where that goes, down to that fella there. So, yeah, we might have to address that for sure. Man, you know, it's just, can you get that part? Does it exist still? Who has it? How long does it take to get? Okay, so I'm going to cover up the carburetor here just to make sure nothing falls down the throat of this beast. All right, let's get that off of there. Ooh. Yeah, these clamps, I don't like them. They work all right, but I ain't using these again. All right. Okay. Oh man, this bad boy is hard as a rock. Like, man, I ain't kidding. So, and then the next thing, you know what happens? They start leaking. Be careful. That, just get a good slice in it so I could spread it, get it off of there. Man. Ooh. Well, did last quite a while, right? It's definitely time to say goodbye, though. Oh, man. Yeah, that makes me feel good. I don't know. That pulse pump might be history. I don't know if you guys could see that, but yeah, that thing is really boogered up. Alright. Maybe like that. Alright. Yeah, that should be copacetic. Catch it on the bottom. That's a big clamp, though. Damn. You know? Let's see what that looks like when we tighten it up. Alright. So that's alright. Right there by the old 1/4 inch mark. I don't want to go too crazy, but right there it does look pretty good. I think it's time for a new blade. Alright, get another clamp. And we'll probably go like that. A little WD on there. Some good slippage. Yeah, man. Could have won a little more. Right? I could have made that sucker a little shorter. Yeah. And do I get it off? I don't know. There we go. See if we could use a little piece of wood to put under it. try to get a cut on it. I only got to go a little bit. Right, like that much. Right there. There we go. Yeah. All right. We're going to have to just run with that. That should be okay. All right. I should have had that this way. Oh, Joe. What are you doing? Not paying attention. So it'll be much easier if I reverse it. Yeah. So if I have to get it off or get it, putting it on, it's easier to just do it this way. Bad boy on there. Well, so that's that. All right. So the next one would be the pulse line. Pulse line would be the line that's coming off the block where she's getting pulse and pulsulating to the pulse pump. There it is right there, down yonder. All right, that looks good. Boom, boom. That one we had trouble with, down along the frame into the tank. All right, moving on to the electrical, finally. Okay, so the first thing we've got to do here is get this key switch out and rewired. We're going to have to rewire it because the plug is melted, and so the old connector is not going to serve any purpose for us. So let's get started here, and we're going to take this out and rewire it. This is all time-consuming stuff. As you can see, the wires just look like a bunch of spaghetti, but it's all a process of getting it right and getting it back to the way it was. Having this push button start in the picture is no good because everything needs to go and operate through the key. without the key, the system is not going to charge and it's just going to run off the battery. As you can see, it's a little bit of a struggle, and I'm, just kind of looking at everything here, and, it's a mess. So, as you can see, the plug is melted and the key switch is corroded. There's just nothing good here except wires. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these wires. It doesn't matter. I don't have to worry about where they go to because I'm going to have the plug to refer to. So when I make the new connections and put them on the new key switch, we won't get lost. We have the plug to refer to. So that's not a big deal. That's pretty simple and straightforward. I'm just looking at that and it's a little cruddy. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to get that plug off, and that's why I just cut the wires. So I'm just inspecting this, and all these wires that we're going to reconnect to the new key switch all look good. Okay, so now this thick red faded wire here with the yellow connector, that was originally on the starter solenoid. This is going bye-bye because that's the power wire that came off the push button. The blue wire is now going to be the wire from the key to send power to the solenoid and make this thing turn. So, so this red wire, that's going to go. You see it goes up here to the push button starter. That's just no longer needed, and we're going to get this out of the picture along with the other red wire as well. So that's where we're at. All right, so now this fuse here, this red wire was originally going right from the battery to the key switch, and that's not right. This red wire has to go down to the starter solenoid pole where the hot wire from the battery is going, which is kind of the same thing, but we're going to put it right back to the way the schematic calls for it. This wire here, this black wire, this is going to go right to the key switch. And so that's what's going to bring power to the key switch. That's what I'm going to use to crimp these. Alright, just to get you guys in here, see what I'm doing. Not the red. The red's got to be longer. This is the black that goes to the switch. Okay. Not that crazy about that, but I think it'll be all right. Give a little squeeze. There. Yeah. Okay, so all of the wires that I cut from the key switch plug all have connectors on them now. And all I'm doing here right now is I'm cutting the red wires off of the push button starter because of course we're getting that out of the picture. That's all going bye-bye. We have no use for that at all whatsoever. So now, all I'm going to do now is just make this red wire that's ultimately coming from the fuse longer so it can reach down to the starter solenoid. All right, so I'm just comparing the new to the old, and I just want to make sure that I get these wires on here properly the first time. And so here we go. We're starting with the red. Get that on there and push it on really good. All right, now let's see which one we're next. We're going to go with the blue. Or actually, that's the green. I'm sorry. The green, the ground. Now we're going to do the yellow. And just get that on there all the way. They're tough to push on, which is good. We don't want them falling off. The key switch is upside down once it's in place. And I want to get this orange wire out of this loop here, right? And ultimately get that on there next. So, and that's that, orange wire. And now we're going to go with the blue. Now we're going to go with the black. Let's get the black on there. That is ultimately going to be power to the key switch, right? And now the blue. And there you have it. So the key switch is wired. Everything looks copacetic. Everything is tight. We're good to go. Okay. All right. So now we're just basically going to get this battery in the machine. We're ready for the battery. So let me grab this battery. There's not a lot of room. It's tight, which that's what was important about getting the right size, because the right size just makes it in there. It's a tight fit. So slipping the new Die Hard gold into position here. Getting some of this stuff out of the way. And boom. She's sitting in its spot. Oh, she likes it. Okay, very good. So that's pretty much it. The battery is where it's supposed to be. Let's go around to the other side here and let me just show you what this looks like sitting in here. Nice tight fit. And there's a strap that just comes around from the top, goes down the front, and secures to the bottom, which is a nice tight fit. It's actually a little tough to get on there. I'm surprised it's still in good shape. There's nothing dry rotted about the hold down strap at all. And it's got the battery like super secured. You know, it could be bouncing, the machine bouncing around, and battery is not going to move. So, see that? And then the hold down comes down in front of the battery. Can't see it that well, but there's a little tab that it connects to. And yeah, so that's that. Okay, so I was having a little trouble with the mic. I think I got it all copacetic and squared away now. I was just saying that I was, just touching the negative onto the battery to make sure nothing was sizzling. I didn't hear anything or see any sparks, so I'm just going to put a piece of electrical tape just around the harness itself to just kind of keep it all together and make it a little more manageable, I'm thinking. Something like that, just to keep this whole charade of a deal together. So I'm just going around it a couple times, like so, and that should do it. My cutters see better days. I had them for a while. Maybe time to just send them off to the toilet. So that's cool. So again, I'm gonna get these negatives on here and that one ground. And let's see what we've got. I got a couple other little loose ends we're gonna wrap up. I like this connector that came with the battery. So it's got this little spacer washer, which, you know, so it just doesn't go in too far, but it's good because when you put your connectors in front of this, where my fingernails are, and then you tighten this, you know, it's not the nut rubbing up against the connectors, you know. In fact, the nut's going to just tighten against it, and it's not going to chew up the connectors. So that's pretty nice. I like that. The connections earlier I had spoke about on the starter, right? The blue wire and the red wire has to be tightened up now. So we're going to do that. I don't remember what size that was. I think it was a 13 mil. Yeah, okay. Okay, so we're getting this tightened up. Gotta be careful with that. Now I want to get this blue wire and this slip connector cleaned up. It's not real bad, but I definitely want to clean it up, make sure that we got a good connection. It's yeah, it's not, you know, it could be a little bit better. So I'm going to get a piece of emery paper here and just give it a little scratch on the face there. And just clean it up a little bit because it is a tight fit. So I'll just clean it up a little bit and get the bottom a little bit, right? And I think what I'm going to try to do is actually get the inside of the connector a little bit. See if I could maybe tear a piece off here and get like a little more of a sliver and just try to clean the inside of it. And again, it's not bad, but I just want to make sure we got a good connection here. So just fiddle with this a little bit, and it does look like I got it better. So I get that on there, and yeah, I think we're good to go with that. All right. Okay, so this red wire, I don't want to make a permanent connection yet. I don't mean to second guess myself, but you know, it's going to be a hot wire, and I want to be able to just yank it off of there real quick if I have to. So I'm going to just splice up the end here, and yeah, I want to just make a temporary connection that I can remove quickly. So that's it. That's all we're looking to do here. I'm just going to go with that for now. And I'm going to do this. I think that's pretty good. Oh boy. And then we're going to put that on there. Fuses are good. Man, we're ready to turn this key switch, so here we go. Freaking heart attack, right? That's reverse over what? And I got nothing. Okay, so I'm not sure what the deal is. I didn't have I didn't have power to the key switch. When I hook up the red wire that comes off the fuse block and I connect it to the same starter pole that we're taking power from the battery right to the solenoid, that same pole is where that red wire goes to, at least according to the schematic, from this fuse terminal. So now, because the black wire is actually power, there's power at the key switch. When it's hard to do because I don't have it hooked up, right? Yeah, the orange. Yeah. So according to the schematic, right? When I go to engage start mode, then the orange wire becomes power, and it goes through the PTO switch. So I got to check this PTO switch for continuity, right? So back over to our trusty little voltmeter, right? Continuity. As far as the orange goes, which is the two top poles, when that switch is off, because it's the PTO switch, you shouldn't have to turn the PTO switch on to start the engine, because that's unsafe. You're going to start it with the cutters engaging. So let's see what we got. PTO switch is off, and I do have continuity. When I turn the PTO switch on, I lose that continuity, which is fine, because the engine is already running. And we're already past starting it. So that's okay. So that's not the problem. The problem is going to lie inside the connector, the engine connector, because this orange wire that comes off the PTO and goes into the engine connector turns into the blue wire, which is the blue wire that's supposed to get connected to the solenoid. And when I do that, I don't have nothing. Yeah, it's got some crud in there. Those are not clean connections by any means. So I've got this miniature wire brush, and maybe I can clean it like that. I don't know. Let's see what happens. The blue wire is the bottom connection, and yeah, some of it on the bottom connection. Well, the bottom connection on the left, there's 4 in here. That's the orange wire turning into the blue. This really should be it. So I need to just clean that up really good. Man, I can't imagine what I'm gonna do after this if it doesn't turn over. Scratching them up pretty good though. And they are looking a whole lot better. Alright. Yeah, this is the worst of it right here. These are just not looking so good. So I'm gonna have to stay at this and really clean it so they look silverish again. Okay. See what happens here. Maybe some compressed air might be the trick too. No, they're not looking too good. So, providing the wire connection to the clip is still good. Ah. That tastes pretty good. Finally coming to a close with all of that. Ah. All right. That on there. This plug back in to PTO. Red wire on there. Nothing. I'll be damned. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. Let's try something else. Right? Let's try. Let's just try a little bypass here. Let's see what we got. Let's see if this will work. I'm gonna shove this wire in there. It's the top one. That's the top orange wire. Right? Let's bring that right over to the starter, where the blue wire is supposed to go. Red wire's hooked up. Just make sure. Got power at the starter. I got it. Power at the key. What do we got? Whoa, there you go. There you go. She turned over. The problem is down below now. In there, wherever these orange wires connect to and come out of, I'm going to have to check that for, clean connections and continuity, but I'm most certain that's where the problem is going to be. So we got to get in there, and we got to figure how to get in there. And once we do that, we should be cooking with some gas. Okay, so here you go, guys. So the reason why we weren't getting power, well, we had power at the key, but we didn't have power from start mode to the starter. Okay, and so I had to walk away from this, and obviously you could tell because the wires are a little buttoned up and straightened out, but that was really driving me nuts because I kept referring back to the schematic and everything looked good to go, and I was like, why isn't it working, right? So not even realizing, and a good thing that I walked away because I had to cool off. There's two things that were stopping it from turning over. And here you go. And you've seen this earlier in the video. This loom here, these two yellow wires. Well, when I had removed this pan, you had seen this wire here for the seat. This was the seat safety switch. So there was no switch here. And so therefore, those two yellow wires really needed to be tied together. And so, but it's not just that either. It's not quite that simple. It's also the brake switch, okay? Here's the brake switch. And so it's not even that you're just sitting on the seat, because the two yellow wires went from the seat safety switch to the brake pedal switch, okay? So you could see that, I went through the trouble of redoing these connectors because the plug for this was really shot. It was really corroded and it was very loose fit. And on top of that, the brake switch had continuity and didn't have continuity. It was back and forth. The switch was just, it was gone. So I had to tie the two yellow wires together, but I also had to tie the two orange wires together to complete the circuit. And of course, once I did that, because they want you to be sitting on the machine and pressing the brake pedal in. If you just push the brake pedal in and you're not sitting on the seat, then it's not enough. So it's like a double, they both have to work together. Because again, I don't mean to repeat myself, but you have to be sitting on the machine, pushing the brake pedal in. So when I eliminated those two switches and completed the circuits by tying the two oranges together and the two yellows together, well, guess what? Now power goes through the PTO and actually gets to the engine connector that I kept second guessing. I cleaned this thing like, I don't know how many times, right? And now you turn the key and she turns over. So it's that simple, right? It was just those two safety switches that had us fouled up here and had us at a stall. So good news. Figured it out. Okay, I got a little container here. Let's see if I can get a little. Oh, that didn't work out so good. Oh, shoot. Yeah, right? I'm really doing a good job with that. All right. Let's see what we got here. Okay. Little choke action. And here it goes. Okay, well, we did get a little fire out of it. Man, all kinds of stuff blew out of that muffler. And I gotta get some more gas down in the carburetor. Oh man, shoot, I really need something like a little squirt bottle. Okay, I know what I can do. I think this will work fine. I didn't even think of that. Got a little funnel action here. Oh, I should have just did that the first time, right? Okay. All right. Man. Come on, baby. Okay. I still don't have no, well, wait a minute, I do. That pulse pump might be shot. That's what I'm thinking. All right, give it another little whirl here. I got some fuel in the carburetor, but, I mean in the fuel filter, but I don't know. She ain't coming up. Let's come over here. Man, it runs, guys. All right. And it won't stay running. Pulse pump. Okay, so yeah, let's look here at this fuel filter. There's really not enough fuel in the fuel filter. We're not getting a real pull, and I'm convinced, I just know that the pulse pump is bad. It had the earmarks of being bad just when we, had replaced the fuel lines. I'm going to give it another whirl here, but I'm not that confident it's going to stay running. The engine just turning over is making pulse, and that's enough to activate the pulse pump. So I'm pretty sure we're going to need another pump, and if that's the case, I am going to try an electric fuel, a low pressure, low voltage electric fuel pump. I already have this in mind, but at any rate, let's give it another whirl. All right, so that's it. That's what we need to do. That's the next order of business. I am going to get a hold of a low voltage, low pressure fuel pump, and we are going to get that on this machine and go from there. Okay, all right, so check it out. The fuel pump came. These were supposed to be 1/4 inch. They're looking more like, well, yeah, I don't know. They look a little bigger, but I'm pretty sure I could make that work with the 1/4 inch line. I'll keep that plugged up for now. I am going to do like I said. I'm going to mount it over here on the firewall. I just made one mark, so I'm going to go ahead and drill a couple holes and get this thing mounted. And that's what we did. We took our line right there, shortened it a little bit, made a huge mess, connected to the fuel pump, that filter, and to the carburetor. Conveniently enough, we've got that hole in the firewall right there for the throttle and choke cable, so that's where the wires go right through. It's mounted, it's secured, everything is in place, and we're good to go. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with how I'm going to, wire it. I think I'm going to do it direct with a toggle switch. I was going to run it off the key switch, but I'm a little reluctant to do that. It is only 2 amps, but, I just, yeah, I think I'm going to run a toggle switch where the push button was, because I have that hole there. So I'm going to throw a toggle switch in there, and that's going to be for the fuel pump. All right, so that's what I went and did. I've mounted the switch here, where the push button was. I had added a washer just like this to, tighten up that hole. I painted it black just so it would look a little better. So, that's that. And I've secured all the wires. I'm running a 5 amp fuse. It's only a 2 amp pump, so the 5 is sufficient. And that's it. We're ready to see if this thing's going to fire and stay running. We know it's going to fire. Well, I hope it fires. And, that's the whole issue here is, will it stay running? It wouldn't stay running before. It wasn't getting fuel from the pulse pump. So here goes nothing. Fuel pump is on. Definitely a problem. It's running, as you can hear. I don't know if that fuel pump is going to wind up being too much or what, but so far so good. that's the next issue, the charging system. But this is totally good news. The fuel pump is definitely working good. This thing is running steady. Just got to figure out now why it's not charging. All right, so last night we had to call it quits. I was getting tired and it was getting a little late. We left off with installing the electric fuel pump, which just works phenomenal. It doesn't seem to be too much, and it's definitely enough. So that's a plus. So now, because last night when we had it running, we definitely came to the conclusion that it wasn't charging. So we need to test. We need to do some tests here, some diagnostic tests with the voltmeter to try to determine if the stator is working. We'll start with that because, that would be the biggest project, taking the motor off the machine and then replacing the stator, which is behind the flywheel. I got my voltmeter set on AC volts. Okay, you can see that there. And of course we don't have anything because we're not doing anything with it yet. And we need to, I've already got it unplugged. I just unplugged it last night, but I wasn't doing anything with it. I just wanted to see if the connectors were clean. And the connectors are clean for the for the stator. So these two yellow wires, they might be white wires, I'm not sure. They look like they were yellow at one time. So these two wires go to the stator. And that would be the alternating current coming out of the stator, right? And then when it goes into the voltage regulator, it passes through some diodes. I think there's 4 diodes in there that it pass through. And then when it comes back out that center pole here, it's this black wire that would go back and charge the battery. So first order of business would be to stab these two wires that go to the stator. Right? It doesn't matter which one goes where. Get those on there. And then we're going to start the machine. We're going to start the machine and see what we got. We're supposed to have at least 30 volts. If it's under 30 volts, then it's not really putting out. It's not putting out enough. And also, I know that the engine should be racing. Maybe not so much full throttle, but definitely not idling. So, let's see. She's been sitting in the garage all night. Hopefully she'll just start right up. There's the electric fuel pump. And here we go. Okay, so right now on idle, you can see that's totally not enough. So we got to race it up. This is really good news. We had at least 30 volts. We had 30 plus volts, and the stator is working. So there could be a couple things going on here, though, why it's not charging. This plug here, because it's so old, might not maybe be making a good connection with the voltage regulator. So I might have to, eliminate this plug and, get some better connections here. And then the other thing too is there could be a break in the wire, our direct current that goes back and charges the battery. So, we still have to do some figuring out, but from what I can see, the good news is the stator works and the electric fuel pump works. And I don't know if you guys can hear it, but this thing, 30 years old, and the 2 years or whatever it sat, and the way this thing just starts up, I'm not kidding you. I am beside myself. This is a good motor. This is a good machine. I am so pleased with all the progress and everything that's, the way it's been going so far. Man, I just couldn't be happier with this. Right now, I think we have just about $400 into the machine with the cost of the machine. And the battery itself was $120, and plus I paid $15 for an extended warranty. So, I mean, I paid more for the battery than I paid for the machine. So that's, oh man, the only thing now is, let's get it charging so we can get this thing back together and see how it drives. All right, so I'm just finalizing cleaning up these washers and screws that do hold the voltage regulator to the engine block. And only that's because of that one ground wire you had seen previously. I'll show you guys again that in case it does need that ground, all this stuff is clean. Grease and oil can definitely affect your connections. I've had it happen to me before, and you really just can't be afraid to overdo it a little bit. Get the stuff looking like new. Make sure it's clean, and so when you put it back together, it's solid. You're going in the right direction. Taking precautionary measure, right? So these are nice and clean. As you can see, there was some corrosion on there, but she scratched up pretty good. See, that's pretty clean. You're gonna get it too much cleaner than that. So, that's that. The old one, obviously, was all gooed up. You could see that center connection. Let me show you a little better. That center connection, right, was not good. And that's the connection that goes ultimately back to the starter key. But for $11, I got a brand new one. And that's what we were waiting for. It finally came. And so that's it. We're going to put this baby back together. So let's get the camera back over here on the scene. That should be pretty good. That's pretty much it, guys. Alright. Got the voltmeter ready to go on battery 12 volts. Right. Okay. Got her fired up. All right. So we got fuel pump on.
Awesome. It's charging 1390, and it looks like it's going up, and 1398. It's not really, the engine isn't even really racing that high, and yeah, we've got over 14 volts now, so it's good to go. So there you have it. It's been a journey, but a little patience paid off. Machine starts with the key switch, stays running, and the charging system works. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for part 2 where we get this puppy driving and cutting. Thanks so much for watching.